Steph.
And I'm Joel.
And welcome to Framed
Canvas Cuff.
and Other Stuffs.
Season 2, baby.
Woo!
We're back. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, Joel.
I believe Gaga's next week.
Me. You know what, though? How is it December? How is it going to be? What is it next year? 2026.
6, girl.
I'm getting ever so closer to 40 every year.
We both are. Bring it on.
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
I don't
Who
care.
cares?
Better than ever.
I'm happy to be on the ride. I'm happy to keep going till the end.
Till the end.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Keep it pushing.
Keep it pushing.
Keep it going.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm in a hurry, but like
No, like
TikTok.
don't like fade to black anytime soon.
Well, no, I'm joking. I'm kidding. Oh my God, we started really dark. Let's go back. Go back.
Take it all back. Take it all back.
Go back. Go back. Hi, Steph.
Hi, Joel. Everyone would think this was our second record of the day, but it's only our first.
I'm tired.
Oh, me too, a little
I know.
bit.
You've got more reason to be tired than me, though.
No, but
So I feel silly being like, I'm tired. Me.
no, you're allowed to be tired.
Mm.
It's not a competition of who's the most.
I don't know why. I am.
You are in recovery from your
Well, kind of, but
tonsils.
I've been good. I think it's honestly just because I went to sleep slightly later than usual last night.
That 30-minute window really can make a difference.
Yeah, from going to a friend's house and having dinner and not drinking, having a cup of tea, and came home slightly later than what I'd usually be going to bed. And I woke up this morning and I was like, ah!
We looked after our goddaughter yesterday, and
Aw.
I know, so cute, but she was just like, the energy that she has, I'm just like, and then when we left, and I was like, but they still have to deal with her. Like, she's still up.
But she would have got all her energy out at your house, so they're like score. So she's
I
going to
don't
be all like tuckered out.
Oh no, they sent us a video like an hour later. She was fully watching Wicked and singing along to every single song and dancing around. And I said, that's your daughter, Tanya.
Yep.
I loved it though.
Oh, that's so cute.
What a cutie. But I was like, I want that energy.
Yeah.
What are you recommending this week, Joel? What can you recommend?
No, I have a story first that I want to talk about. I was like, oh, should I talk about this on the pod or not? But it's really like hot on my brain because it just happened last night while I was in bed, and then I woke up this morning to the news.
Oh my goodness.
Our cat Obi's been a bit of a naughty boy.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed in him.
What do you do?
I'm very upset.
Oh no.
So last night, Lockie got home from a gig. I was fast asleep,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't hear. And I when I'm asleep, like a freight train could burst through the wall, and I'd be like, "Hello."
Kool-Aid
Like, I
man
wouldn't-
bursts through and you're like, who?
Yes. So Lockie gets home from his gig. He has his bags and stuff like that. He takes a lot of bags because he does costume changes and this and that and whatever. Last night he left his bags on the outside of our door when he went inside, just because it's a bit of a rigmarole getting him in and whatever. Anyway, he comes inside. He just leaves the bags there. He's like, I'll get those later.
Yeah.
Has a shower and all that kind of stuff. So he has a shower.
Yeah.
He is stark naked.
Yeah.
He quickly goes to the front door. He's like, I'll just quickly bring the bags in.
Yeah.
He opens the door. Obi, our cat, zooms out of the door.
No.
Lockie's stark naked. Obi zooms down, goes down all the flights of stairs. Our downstairs neighbor
Yeah. Oh.
has 2 outside cats. Obi beelines for the cats.
No. Obi.
And we've come to realize Obi doesn't like other cats at all. Like I don't know if he thinks he's playing, but he's being a little jerk. Like he'll like hiss and run and chase them and like all that kind of stuff. And these are 2 like kind of small like girl cats.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Lockie's stuck naked. He hears like downstairs.
No.
Annie, our neighbor, was downstairs when this all happened, having a cigarette, as she does. And so Obi's chasing the cats. Lockie can't get down in time.
Oh no.
Because he's naked. So he's like quickly trying to find clothes, put them on, or whatever. He runs down, gets downstairs. Our downstairs neighbor is bleeding from the hand. Obi bit her
Obi.
while she was trying to get him away from her cats. So he was being a little feral freak.
Meanwhile, you're like, la, 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 in dreamland.
Honk shoe. I don't know how I slept through all this, but I did. So she's bleeding from the hand, open wound, pissing blood everywhere. No, she's not. It was like a little, like
her whole hand's chopped off.
He bit her.
And this is why you don't leave the milk out of the fridge.
So I'm just like, oh, our special little guy who's
sweet angel
who's
boy.
so sweet, and he's
a biter.
so lovely. We know he doesn't like he loves everyone. He's such a cuddly boy. Like, he loves humans. He doesn't like other cats. Such a cuddly boy. Like, everyone who comes into our apartment, he'll come up and snuggle up to and he'll purr, and he's like just the cutest, sweetest thing ever. Our neighbor downstairs, he does not care for.
Do you think it's because she has the cats and he associates those cats with her?
Well, maybe.
Or is that just giving him the benefit of the doubt? Or
but I've like played with dogs and stuff, and I come home and Obi doesn't care. Like, I don't know. I think I'll be holding Obi downstairs, and Annie will like go to pat him, and he'll like hiss. And go, like, there's something about her aura that he doesn't like.
And I've met Obi, and Obi is so cute.
Yes, he's so cute. And Annie's darling. She's a very, very sweet lady. And so Lockie wakes me up this morning. Well, when I woke up this morning, Lockie told me what happened. I was just mortified.
Your son?
My son bit someone.
It's the biter at the playgroup. You're like, I got a biter.
I know, but thank God she's a cool neighbor, because I don't know, like, people get weird about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she has cats, and I feel like, maybe she.
But you have to be careful with cat bites. There's something to do with their saliva or something like that can like fuck people up.
Did you know if you're pregnant, you can't clean a cat litter?
Kitty litter. Yeah, someone from work told me that.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, cat poop is like toxic. It is. I don't know how they turn whiskers into whatever that is,
but it will kill you.
But it's insane. But also, I couldn't. So the doctor was just like, "Oh, you've got a cat at home," and I'm like, "Yeah, he's going to take care of me when I'm recovering." And he's like, "Well, be careful. Like, don't let him scratch you or bite you or anything like that, because while I'm recovering from I got my tonsils out."
Woo!
While I'm recovering from my tonsillectomy, I can't have like cat scratches or like cat bites or anything like that, because something
the poison will go to your
28 days
brain.
later, like it all. I don't know what happens, but it's bad.
You become a zombie.
Yeah. So I'm just disappointed. I think.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. And Obi. When Lockie was telling me this morning, Obi was like literally snuggled up in my arm crook, just like being the cutest thing ever. And I was just, I was so upset.
Oh.
And it's just been playing on my mind. I'm like, our sweet little boy is going out there and attacking ladies.
He's in a gang.
Yeah, he's in a gang.
He's got a little switchblade.
So now, and it's because we've been taking him outside. I'll take him outside off his little harness.
Yeah.
Because he just sticks by me.
Yeah.
And he'll go and roll on the concrete and do whatever. But I think I'm going to have to revoke those privileges.
Yeah. He's in lockdown.
I'm going to have to like put him in his little harness, and he's going to hate it. But we like him
boundaries.
To go, we like him to go outside and like touch grass and concrete and stuff like that, because he likes it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm going to have to set some pretty strict boundaries. I might have to have a chat with him when I get home.
Yeah, I think so. Lay down the law.
Yeah.
In my mind, he's just becoming Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And just like
I'm wearing pantaloons.
Just plotting the like demise of the world.
Yeah, I was I'm disappointed parent vibes.
Yeah. You're like, I'm sorry my child is such a brat. Leave those cats alone.
Yeah, because we eventually wanted to get another cat, and I just don't know if we can. I don't know if he's going to
will he be like even like cuter because he's like, this little baby, I've got to protect this little baby.
Maybe. I think it's like we have to get him like a kitten or something like that. So he has like we can't get him something that's the same age as him, because they're just going to fight for dominance.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah. Anyway, cat chat. I know it's super interesting
and
hearing about other people's pets. But
you know what?
It's fresh, and it's what's on my mind.
One of our listeners might have a cat and then they go, I feel you, Joel.
Yeah. I don't even know if we're like technically allowed to have cats in our building. So I think we are. Like they're pretty sweet with it all. Like there's dogs and stuff in our building.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
It just takes Obi biting the wrong person for him to get evicted, for him to get sent to Arkham Asylum.
Silly.
Oh, silly. Anyway, I did have a recommendation. It was literally just because I did have my tonsils out. The past 2 weeks, I've just been eating like pretty much just goo, things that are goo. So like soup and yogurts and stuff. And so at Aldi, they've released these limited edition wicked desserts.
Of course they have.
Yeah. And the green one, the alphabet version of this wicked dessert is pistachio and white chocolate.
Yeah, actually delish.
And my God, was I addicted to these? Probably like 4 a day.
It's a good excuse too, because you're like, I'm sick.
It's like yogo for adults.
Yeah.
So it's like sexy yogo. The brand is called Wicked Sister. And so that's why I think they're in the partnership with Wicked, because it makes sense. And so
there's synergy there.
There's synergy there. It's clever. There was great marketing. It really like stands out on the shelves. And then the Galinda one is some like, I don't know, like strawberry marshmallow bullshit. And I'm like, no, that's too childish. No. Pistachio. I'm like, I'm an adult. I'm having the pistachio one. So I've just been eating this like green goo and it's fabulous.
Amazing.
Go out and get it while stocks last.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be out for. I mean, you're seeing Wicked goes hard with their promo.
Oh, they
just
have
everywhere.
created.
Yeah.
Product line after product line.
Yeah, like Wicked Nurofen.
Do you want the green pill or the pink pill?
Yeah.
Did Lockie get his doll? His wicked doll?
Oh, he's got heaps of wicked dolls.
No, but wasn't he getting a specific one with the launch of the second
he went to
film?
Chadstone and got it. Yes, he did.
Great.
He did. So he's got a whole wall of
it's
Wicked
incredible.
/ Wicked of Oz dollies now.
Dollies. Watching over you.
That's my life. What's going on with you, sister? Wicked sister?
Wicked sister?
I notice you're wearing your jumper from your trip.
Yes, so was invited by the National Portrait Gallery to go and see an exhibition that they launched with Kaylene Whiskey. And it was 10 out of 10, fabulous, highly recommend.
You got to meet her, didn't you?
Got to get my picture with her. I was very starstruck. It was like, you know when like people like, you see people like meeting like
Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift. That's me with Kaylene Whiskey. I was like, It was so hot. I couldn't wear my jumper, but it was so cute. There was a guy who had come to like the talks in the morning and he was so excited and he had his jumper on and his book and got to meet her. And I was like, oh, you are feeling exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
And I'm very appreciative of this. So got to go there and I highly, highly, highly recommend if you are in Australia and if you're interested, or specifically if you are an artist or studying arts, I highly recommend going because I think it is kind of like one of those exhibitions that I think is important to see. I think she's a very important – there's a lot of like cross like culture stuff there and it's also a lot of fun. It's not serious. Like it's not like you have to think, you can think deeply about it, but you can also just go and see it and it's a lot of fun. So highly, highly recommend. And in keeping with that theme, I thought today we could do a little bit of a deep dive on Kaylene Whiskey in this episode.
She committed some kind of art crime.
Well, there is a form of crime in this story, but it's a bit of a downer. It's colonization.
Okay, right. Yes. No.
But I thought, in keeping with the theme, we're going to talk a little bit about, I guess, trying to fit 60,000 years of culture into an episode seems impossible, but a bit of a timeline on how we go from First Nations art beginning to Kaylene Whiskey at the National Portrait Gallery.
Fantastic.
So I will try and keep it as concise as possible because there's a lot there.
Okay.
I will do my best.
Buckling up. I'm excited to learn. I'm excited that we're doing something that is on our homeland. And
Yes.
Yeah.
So before we jump in today, I have to say that I would like to let Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people know that in this episode, it may contain voices, names, or photos of deceased persons. And if this is an episode you want to skip, we are more than happy to. I will make sure I make a note to put in the show notes who we mention. So if you want to check that out, you can. All right, let's jump in, Joel. Before we talk about pop icons in the desert, we need to talk foundations of Aboriginal or First Nations Torres Strait Islander art. I will probably interchange between the names of Aboriginal and First Nations, and I will also put a huge disclaimer. I have tried to go and find how to pronounce certain words in this. And if I mispronounce, I apologize.
Yes.
I'm unfortunately just a
Do
little
the best
white.
we can.
Yeah, I'm a little white girl in Australia.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the story around, Aboriginal art and how it's so important and how lucky we are to live in a country that has this history, but how we haven't always seen it that way and we sometimes still don't. So we need to go back tens of thousands of years and look at like kind of where they started and what the first markings that were found around First Nations art. So the first piece that we can actually date is a 28,000-year-old charcoal painting, which was found in here we go, Majabibi in Arnhem Land, which was like it's essentially our first version of like cave paintings, I guess they would say. And when we look at First Nations art in Australia, the cool thing is that it's not just like pictures on walls. There is so much behind it. So there's song lines, there's stories, there's maps, there's all of these interesting things. So for us, what we see is like that's a picture of a lake, but it could actually be like an entire map that maps like someone's family history.
Yeah, right.
So there is a lot of deeper meaning. But the early the early art forms were, rock art and rock art, body painting for ceremony, sand drawings and that kind of thing. So it's we could literally spend a whole episode talking about how things are depicted. We don't have the time. But yeah, pretty much every single piece of First Nations art, there is even more story and rich history behind it. Let's kind of jump from those really first kind of many, many thousands of years ago to kind of the early colonial days. So this is kind of when Europeans arrive and we start to kind of get this question of like, what is art? So they were doing these beautiful bark art pieces, which I have photos of, which I'll show you. But because they were painted on bark, European settlers didn't see it as art. They're just like, that's like some kind of trinket kind of thing.
Right.
So it's kind of like we instantly have dismissed this, but like
their art was just oil paintings of horses.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, come on, guys, what are we doing? But kind of if we jump to 1912, there is an anthropologist named Walter Baldwin Spencer who's in Western Arnhem Land, and he commissions an artist to paint on a portable bark sheet. So a lot of these things would be painted and they'd have to stay on country because they are literally attached to things, or they would stay there because it's like information that the community needs. However, he was one of the first people documented to commission a piece, and because it was portable, he was able to take that and be able to show people for the first time around, into museums and things like that. Between 1912 and 1922, he was gathering over 170 of these paintings for the National Museum of Victoria, and he would sometimes pay in tobacco. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, 1912 kind of just shows the time.
Mm-hmm. So he was essentially in business with the person creating the art. He wasn't stealing it or anything like that. He was distributing it with respect to the artist.
Well, from what we can tell, it was, of all the things, he was one of the more respectful.
Yeah, okay.
He didn't just take it. He was paying the artist, I guess. These are some of, and you probably have, Joel, seen them before, but like these are some of the bark paintings that were kind of curated from him. So,
so cool.
They are. And I think we would have been shown these, especially in primary school. I remember my art teacher showing us, but I think we didn't realize we didn't have the capacity at the time to kind of think about what that meant.
Mm-hmm. It gives it this this great like texture to it. It makes it seem very special. It makes it seem a lot older than the year it was produced as well. Like this seems like something sacred that you would come across.
Yeah. Exactly. They're just they're just cool.
Yeah.
So these paintings are shown in Melbourne in 1929. There's a major exhibition called Australian Aboriginal Art. It's the first time that we kind of put a whole bunch of First Nations art together. However, the reception is somewhat mixed. I don't think a lot of people knew what to do with this art at this time. Because like you said, they're used to horses and pictures of dogs.
There's an element with Aboriginal art that it's kind of abstract in a way. Like it's not, it's not realism. They're not used to seeing things in galleries that are quite like abstract and like instead of hyper realistic like oil paintings.
Yeah, you're so right. Our brains weren't trained to think that.
Yeah.
And also, like, let's be honest, there's just pure racism.
Oh, that's true. Yes,
like,
of course.
Well, there's this undertone that we just don't take them seriously.
Yeah.
Because there's just absolute racism.
Yeah.
But we can't cover that either in this as much as we'd like. So if we flick a few years forward to 1941, we start to see the rise of the world starting to see First Nations art. There is a touring show which hits the US and Canada. The curator, Theodore Sizer, starts to include Aboriginal artwork. So it's the first time we've kind of shown it as like, this is our, First Nations art. Do you want to have
a country that other countries know next to nothing about at the time? Well, even to an extent to this day, there's a lot of people who don't know about, Australia's history.
No. And it's so interesting, like this tangent side note, but our First Nations elders, when they go to like meet other elders in other countries, they're actually very, very like kind of well respected because they are one of the oldest nations.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of the oldest peoples. And like it's quite, not to get on a soapbox, but we don't see that as a country, but like it's just so sad that we have this.
Yeah.
And other people can see it, but we can't. Anyway, so they show the, artworks included in this traveling show, but it's kind of like it's next to landscapes by white artists, and basically he calls it, native, quote unquote, native art, primitive. It's looked at differently than the other pieces that it's next to.
Yes.
But it does start to bring this history forward a little bit. In this exhibition kind of starts to see people try and, I guess, take these bark paintings and sculptures, and the National Geographic, the Smithsonian, and these big institutes actually start to try and collect as much as they can, whether it's because they might see it as this is the opportunity to get it somewhat cheaply before it becomes, they're able to purchase it, but these big institutions start to collect it, which is great for us now.
Yes.
Somewhat because we can see the history there. These collections actually, a lot of them start to get distributed back to Australian galleries. But like some of these, like the Smithsonian will buy a whole bunch, and then we're starting to kind of try and bring them back. So what we see here is that there's this kind of 1950s, surge of First Nations art, which is coming up, but we're still not seeing the value in it. It's a really strange thing. It's like these two things are kind of happening, but they are polar opposite. They're a juxtaposition of each other, some would say. In 1958, there is the art director of the New South Wales Art Gallery, and his name is Tony Tuckson, and he starts to really go, all right, guys, we need to start putting this stuff in art galleries and not just museums, because this stuff is art and we need to really back it. He starts to commission artists in Milikapiti, who translate ceremonial forms that might have been like sand designs and paintings. He starts to commission them to ethically put them onto things like canvases so we can put them into galleries and things like that.
Okay.
This is the first time in 1959 we see the Tiwi Tutini funeral poles, and you may have seen these before, Joel, and like when I saw them I was like, I remember these from like seeing something similar in primary school.
Funeral poles.
So this was shown in 1959.
So it's a series of almost, I would say that they're reminiscent of like totem poles. And they are these big blocks piled up one after the other, all varying in different shapes. Assuming they're made out of tree trunks.
Yeah, I believe they're made out of tree trunks in the areas.
Carved tree trunks with Aboriginal art.
Yeah.
I don't think it's is it engraved?
No, I think it's
painted over
the top.
Yeah.
They were funeral poles, so they obviously represented a person who had died in that community.
They're quite beautiful.
They are stunning. But because it's 1959 and this is the first real time this is shown, an exhibition like this, white walls, poles in the middle of the room. The backlash is things that it gets called primitive again. The wider audience kind of goes, there's nothing special about this. But the nice thing is that this the director Tony Tuckson, he still stands behind it and goes, no, it is art.
How do you not see this and go, this is cool? How do you go, oh, this doesn't belong here?
Yeah, I mean, 1959.
Yeah,
We're about to go into like...
It's just so weird thinking like that the art crowd back then was still like...
Oh, I'm sure there was people within that art crowd who did enjoy it. The wider audience, I would say.
They're interesting.
It's just, they are interesting.
Just interesting shapes.
And to be like, this represents a person who's passed, we're kind of hitting that timeline of 1960s. So we've got the Christian I can't say this word. The Christians are going in trying to make Aboriginal people white. So we did these missionaries where we were trying to educate them in the way we thought they needed to be educated on Christian values.
Yes.
We really tried to, as bad as this sounds, we tried to breed it out of them.
Yes.
And there was also this mining that was happening on sacred land that was starting to pick up because we started to realize that, there was a lot of value in our earth. And so we started to mine it and take it away. Now, what happens here is that these artists start to kind of create these pieces that comment on these things that are happening. So there is a canvas called, I'm going to try and get Kngwarreye canvas, and it becomes a really important piece because essentially what happens is there is a land that is starting to be mined. This is a very bad photo. When I looked at it, it didn't. But you'll see there is around this kind of doctrine of there's this wording, English wording, where it talks around how these miners are going to come in and drill the earth.
Okay.
The border around that is Aboriginal art.
Yes.
And that is actually their, law that they've had for many years, which actually says who owns the land in their culture.
Okay.
So they've kind of gone, you guys are telling us you own this land because you've made a deal and this mining company's paid for this land and they get to go and do what they want with it. But actually we've had this land for a very long time and this is the actual documentation of that. You just can't read that. Does that make sense?
So the art that's around the border is actually their form of like kind of like no, this is our contract.
Yeah, and that was the contract.
Because the art is telling the story of how, so they're expressing their story through their art around the side.
And it's essentially
instead of words.
Their binding document.
Yeah.
You know, we would go and have a contract drawn up.
Yeah.
They also have had a contract drawn up. It's just their contract looks different to ours.
Yes, gotcha.
And we're kind of, they're, you know, saying, you guys are saying that this has happened, but actually we already own this.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys are just ignoring the fact that this has already been a, you know, issue.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So this travels to Parliament, this document, and they really put the pressure on to kind of stop this mining from happening. No shocks. The mining still goes ahead, but it kind of sets the precedence of, you know, we need to start. It sets a precedence of being like, this is how First Nations people kind of document their stories and their contracts, and it just looks different to ours. And we can't just be stepping on this.
Yeah.
And artists start to say, like, we need to start telling these stories more and more so people can understand them.
Yes.
So we're kind of in this weird spot then again in the 1960s, you know, 20 years or 40 years after those first few exhibitions, where recognition is rising and curators and critics are starting to really see the value in First Nations art, but the literacy in non-Indigenous audiences is really low. So it's kind of like this battle is still, you know, raging on around this artwork. But it does start to see that, I guess, the First Nations people, they're starting to really go, all right, we need to be smart about this. The artists within those communities are like, we need to start putting ourselves out there and showing and trying to get this work that usually stays on country into more homes and show more people so they can understand it and understand us better. This is kind of where we really do start to see a lot more of this sand art, which we talk about going onto canvas. And the elders start to allow this to happen.
Okay.
So in 1971, there is in Papunya, they're in remote Central Australia, there's a First Nations community that has moved off their land. And in response to this, they create a piece of art to be like, no.
They were moved off their land.
They were moved off their land. They didn't want to leave. So they start to create this map of all of these people who are kind of displaced, and they create this big map, which doesn't look like a map, Joel. You can...
No, but it's very beautiful.
It's beautiful. So they create their own map from each of the areas. And then what they do is they get these people to stand on the area of their map and talk about the land that they've been taken off in their first language. So it's the first time we see a real, I guess, kind of revolutionary piece of work that goes, you guys are moving us off this place and we don't want to go, but it's in these bright, happy colors and it's this beautiful map that doesn't, it's the first time that we see.
What year was this happened?
1970s, I think.
Right. And they were being moved off the land so they could do mining?
Yeah, or we just went, we want your land. I mean, they don't get to go back to their land. It's sad. It's horrific. However, what starts to happen is more and more people start to go, all right, we're seeing this. We need to jump on board. And there is a school teacher named Jeffrey Parton who notices, and he starts to get First Nations people to paint murals on his school. And he pays them for it, which is nice. It starts to move the storyline of we're going to see this more and more. These paintings can now be on things like buildings and we can share this artwork around. So, find you this. It's called Honey Ant Dreaming.
I've always wanted to try a honey ant.
Have a little taste?
Yeah, you eat their bum.
You eat their little
they've
bum?
got little sugar bums.
Their little sugary bums?
Yeah.
You can see here, this is painted on the side of the school.
Mm-hmm.
This is in 1972. And because of this group gets to now create a collective and they start to earn money so then more artists can start to create more things.
Yeah.
You know? This is actually an interesting thing which I didn't realize, and when I found this out, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. So I'm going to try and explain this as clearly as I can. Because we're moving sacred designs onto permanent surfaces, this creates a cultural problem within these communities because some elements of the Jakurpa, which is the dreaming, are restricted. We are not allowed to know as white people. Or some communities, some stories might not overlap, so they become like a closed story.
Okay.
They're not for everyone's eyeballs. So the solution is the famous dotting or the dot painting we see now in a lot of First Nations art. It's like a dense overpainting. So what would happen is, let's say they're doing a story or like they're mapping out something and they go, okay, around this lake there's this story that we can't tell everyone. So we'll draw it underneath, but then we'll put dot painting over the top. So our story's still there, but no one can see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Yes. No,
yeah.
it does.
So it's like almost like the dot painting is a censorship type thing, but it's not because it's like rude or like it's because we're not allowed to know that story.
Yeah, right. I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't either. So there's this deeper story underneath that we may never know, but in order for the elders to allow these stories to be told in a bigger scale, that's how they've kind of overcome that cultural problem, which I didn't realize.
No, neither.
There's also, I guess, this thing of there are closed practices around First Nations work. We're not allowed to do the, dot painting, that kind of thing. There are certain, things we're not allowed to participate in, which is so fine. It happens.
Unless a First Nations person is like teaching us.
You. Yeah. Like if you went and did like maybe, I believe if you went and did like a class with like an elder or something, that's fine. You could never sell it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You as a white person should never be like, they might say, we are inviting you into this closed practice to learn, but then you can't go and do that and make money off it.
Well, yes.
Which makes sense, but doesn't to everyone.
I think that's reason why there was that big stitch up about there was something to do with a clothing brand or like the flag or something like that, and it was being distributed by a white person with obviously probably with good intent.
Yeah.
But because it was being distributed by a white person and it was the Aboriginal flag.
So
something to do with that.
The Aboriginal flag actually wasn't I believe it, I could be getting this wrong. At some point in our history, I'm going to say around the 70s or 80s, a white person put like a IP around the Aboriginal flag. So the First Nations people didn't own the flag that represented them.
Yes.
And they had to fight to get the rights to use that flag.
Yes. Okay.
Which is fucked up.
That's so stupid.
But that's just law.
I wonder who came up with the flag.
We should know this, shouldn't we?
Yeah, probably.
I've got it here for us all to learn together.
Yes.
All right, let's all learn together. This is a learning hour
Yeah.
with Steph and Joel. I'm going to read this. This is from ABC News, so I'm actually just going to read it word from word. The Aboriginal flag, this was from 2022. Oh. So in 2022, the Aboriginal flag, for the first time, can now be freely used by all Australians. That's because Harold Thomas, the man who designed the flag, agreed to transfer its copyright to the Commonwealth after a prolonged legal dispute over the flag's use. It means that the red, the yellow and black flag that has long been a symbol of Aboriginal Australia now belongs to everyone and no one can take it away. So who is Harold Thomas, you may ask? Harold Thomas is the son of Luracha woman and Wombai man, was born in Alice Springs in 1947. So he is First Nations. He was taken from his family at the age of 7. And in 2016, He won the National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Art Award. He designed the flag after graduating art school in 1970. There you go.
Such a new flag.
Yeah. When I created the flag, I created it as a symbol of unity and pride, that our pride we have for our identity that harks back to the birthing of our dreaming to the present existence and beyond. The flag was first flown at a land rights rally in Adelaide in 1971.
Well, there you go.
He created the flag to lead a demonstration. In my university days, there was a question of identity amongst Aboriginal people, and this was my response to that. There you go.
Huh.
So it kind of just happened out of protest.
Yep.
And good on him for making interesting.
Yeah, I was curious.
So we had to pay, Australia had to pay him for the rights for it, which kind of makes sense because he got taken away from his family. So some kind of restitution came from that.
Yeah. Oh,
there you go. The more you know. Thank you, SJ. Yeah. So we will link in our show notes. There is excellent information on Free the Flag from Clothing the Gaps. They've got a whole video on it. We will.
Oh, I wish I wore my shirt today.
I know. Could go and pop mine on. But yeah, so Free the Flag was a campaign which only happened very recently. We ended up paying apparently $20 million to this gentleman to free this flag. But well done on Clothing the Gaps, who spearheaded the campaign. Good job, guys. You're doing
cool shirts.
Yeah, cool shirts. If you want a place to buy some cool shirts, they've got them. Alrighty, back into this world.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's a long one. But
No,
I'm fine. Trying to like.
This is actually like really like interesting and relaxing.
Just
to me.
Just educating you. We're on the Magic School Bus.
Back, I'm just learning.
God, there's so much to cover. Alrighty, so from there we kind of go into this kind of spark of the 80s where kind of the wider art community starts to pay more attention to these artists. And there is a woman named Emily Kngwarreye, and she is an elder from Utopia. She becomes a really, really famous First Nations artist, and you may have seen her work before, but it's really cool. This is one of her pieces.
Oh, I feel like I have. I love that.
In roughly 8 years, she makes around 3,000 paintings. So this particular one is around Yam Dreaming, which is a women's ceremony. So she speaks heavily to the female side of culture. There is a artist called Rover Thomas from Kimberley Country, and he starts to paint these songs that kind of came out of his community. And out of like the Cyclone Tracy incident, they started to sing these kind of songs, and he translates them into artwork. So he's starting to take these songs, and he's making, I guess, the works less intricate, more kind of, I guess, abstract again.
They're wonderful.
Rover Thomas. I also like his little hat that he has in his picture.
Yeah.
They're all wearing hats.
Yeah.
He starts to use orcas and stuff, these colours on canvases. He starts to create these sparse maps, and he actually paints a lot of like massacre sites and frontier history and this feeling of displacement within these pictures. So although this artwork seems quite simplistic, there's a lot that goes on behind it. The paintings feel like, you know, the country that he's from. And also in 1990, Rover Thomas represents Australia in Venice, which is the first time we kind of put him on this, you know, the Venice Art Festival, which is it's the first time we kind of send out a First Nations person into these really kind of hoity-toity prestigious things. Yeah, we're starting to see this lift in First Nations art going into galleries, courts, parliaments, that kind of thing. Then we start to move into this idea of how do we keep these art, how do we make sure that art the infrastructure is there for this art and art world to continue? So we start to see community art centres pop up in different areas where they're fighting for not only art practices to continue, but elders being involved to set the rules for younger artists to learn, because they need to learn their history, and also making sure that these artists are getting paid correctly, but there is a issue of provenance when it comes to some of these artworks. So there are a few things that kind of happen in the few years ahead, and I'm going to zoom quickly through them, but there is a whole bunch of different kind of pinpoints that have this political protest about them that relate back to First Nations art. There's the your Kala Bark petitions, which is all around the English people not, acknowledging what First Nations art is and how they are laws, contracts, guidelines, all these kind of things. So that first mining artwork that happened with the border, that sets the precedence for there is a place called Blue Mud Bay. We actually find that because of that piece of art, we give back some land and the sea around that area to First Nations people. There's also, we're starting to see that these community art centres are creating these works that are actually impacting what happens to First Nations land and First Nations stories. So now that we start to see these art centres, there is a particular one that starts up called the Kngwarreye Arts in Indulkina. Indulkina, I know. So Kngwarreye Arts in Indulkina. It's on the APY lands. It's a remote economy, and it's an art centre that becomes, especially in this Indulkina area, it becomes the only way you can make money in that area that isn't owned or from the government.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So Indulkina is
because it's the only thing there?
Well, yeah, because there's not really much else there.
Yeah.
So it's like you either get a job with the government or this art centre has popped up to sustain this community.
Okay.
Which
I thought it was more so government giving money to people who obviously can't work because it's so remote.
Yeah, so there would be an element of that, or you get a job within what they're doing, So it's all kind of like the money's coming from somewhere, but they want to start being sustainable by themselves. In this remote economy, this art centre is a couple of tin sheds, it's where culture is taught. It's where elders kind of start to show these stories to these younger artists, but it's also a real little cultural hub of people come to paint and they yarn and they talk and they have this community centre, which, in a lot of First Nations, it's all about community. You raise children together. It's community driven. So many centres were born from activism, people driving to city meetings, arguing for funding, demanding space to work. This art centre, one of the founders said, "We want to fight for land rights. We want to build this studio because culture needs a roof." So in Indulkina, there is the APY land. So I'll show you a photo, Joel, and you'll see how remote this community is.
Wow.
So you used to be able to visit there freely. It is now a closed community. You have to get a permit to go there.
Wow.
Tell the people what you see, Joel, because it's quite impressive.
Very, very, very remote, like obviously kind of like red centre land where, it's just like a tiny town just in the middle of the desert with a big football oval.
Yeah. So this...
It looks so hot.
Oh, it would be so... I'm burning to a crisp there. So in the early 1980s, Alec Barker and Sadie Singer sit in meetings in Adelaide and then in Canberra arguing for funds for a studio and for the right to work as artists on their own country. They actually get some funding and then they get to go and lay cement and build 3 stone fire pits out the front of this tiny little kind of tin shed. A printing press arrives, lino cuts are made, and we start to see the kind of first building blocks of this art centre. There is almost 40 artists who work there, and the seniors paint kind of next to this new wave group of artists. Careers are born in this room, and you'll start to see that it's great because this is where a kind of non-government income stream kind of funds this whole community, because not only does it lift up the people who are working in this little centre, the whole community you know, thrives together. So another big thing as well is that it means that this community doesn't have to leave its area or their, you know, country to go and find work somewhere else. They can stay on the land that they want to. They can stay in community. They can stay on country. So, and a lot of First Nations people, for those who don't know or who live outside of Australia, you may not know, they have a real connection to country. And when they are away from their traditional country, or they call it, you know, when they're on country, like they feel that there is a loss that they feel. So when they return or when they're able to live there, they have a feeling of wholeness again, which I think is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where we need to talk ethics before we jump into the last part of this whole story. So there is a thing called carpet bagging, which essentially is what was happening before these kind of art centres started to arise, is that a middleman, usually white, would go and for a penny buy this Aboriginal First Nations art, come back to the city, sell it to big, you know, to collectors, but a lot of money. We're flipping art and it's making us a lot of money. The people who lose out are First Nations.
Yes.
Which is not great.
No.
There's also an issue with fake imports started to become a big thing. So what would happen is factories overseas would start, you know, cranking out Aboriginal art and canvases, like didgeridoos, all that kind of thing. And putting designs that they hadn't got approval of on
souvenir-y stuff.
Yeah. And so all of that kind of went into the pockets of people overseas, not the pockets of these communities.
Yeah.
So there was also controversy around the APY Art Centre Collective in recent years. There was an allegation of, and I say in quote, white hands on black art. So it was this accusation that white people were more involved in the making of this art than, you know, community was. They actually investigated it. So there was multiple investigations that rolled out and consumer law regulators got involved. Literally nothing came of it. They said this is not true. And the National Gallery reviewed a lot of the works and they said the provenance is correct. So it was one of those things where people said, like white people are touching this. They found it not to be true, but it caused damage to these art centres.
Okay.
Because it was like culturally it caused damage, art sales dropped in these centres. So it caused a
tainting it a bit because people don't know what's happening.
And I was like kind of looking into this, I was thinking like, if we look at someone like, and I think there is difference and I know that it's different, but like Jeff Koons doesn't do any of his own art. He just goes, make it like that.
Yeah.
It's still his work.
Yes.
I understand it's different because there's sacredness in this work, but it's kind of like, I understand, but it just kind of they went around it the wrong way. Anyway, nothing was found. So it just damaged a whole lot of stuff rather than doing anything. But I guess the thing before we roll into the end is kind of how do we, if you're listening to this and you're like, I actually want to go and buy some First Nations art, how do we do it? So what you want to do is you want to go to the source. You want to make sure you're buying from art centres that are accredited. You know, a lot of these APY art centres, there's, you know, a lot of resources around them. Go and look there. Beware of a bargain. If the price is too good to be true, it is.
Yes.
Someone's missing out. It's never like, you know, someone's missing out. It's usually the First Nations person who's missing out.
Okay.
And then kind of learn the basics and the kind of, you know, what is and isn't allowed for us as, you know, white people to own, buy, that kind of thing. Just 3 little tips for you. But let's go back to the APY lands and we're going to talk and meet a woman named Kaylene Whiskey.
Yay.
Kaylene Whiskey is a Kngwarreye, I've butchered it, I'm sorry, artist from Indulkana and the APY lands. She was actually born in Mapratewe, which is Alice Springs, and because that's the closest hospital she was with, but she was raised and lived in Indulkana all of her life. She had the art centre in her backyard and was lucky enough to grow up watching these artists paint, and then therefore she got to learn, and she had her art school was this art centre where her classroom and her family and career kind of all blossomed together. So why I think Kaylene is important and why she is important is because with her canvases, you get to see not only her life, but it has guest stars who appear, such as Dolly Parton, Cher, Tina Turner, and Wonder Woman.
Yes.
So what we would say is they're pop culture kunkas. So they arrive in the desert, and they get to work and they live alongside these strong women who also live in the area. Work.
Yay.
Because it is so
from the actual
fun. I know. So let me find you the 2020 Archibald, because it was one of the first times I had seen her work. It is probably the one that is the most popular.
Just saw Ziggy Stardust.
I will actually show you this first. So this one I love because this is the story of the Seven Sisters.
Yeah, wonderful.
So Joel,
soup.
Tell the people what you see.
I see 7 women standing by a road with the night sky above them. They're all very different. We've got a nun. We have. Is that meant to be Whoopi Goldberg from Sister Act?
Yeah,
We Are Sisters Together, Whoopi and Wonder Woman. Yes. So I see a nun, I see Wonder Woman, I see a lady carrying something on her head on a Coca-Cola box saying soup. I see another lady saying, "Hey sister, what's in the pitty today?" which I'm assuming is some kind of carrying.
I think, or food maybe.
Look out, Michael Jackson's chasing us, runaway sisters.
So
very funny. She does have a sense of humor in her artwork as well. There's a lady sitting on a cloud with a little magic wand. It's very, I don't want to say cartoonish. What's the word that
comic,
I'm looking for?
Kind of.
Yeah. Very, Stylized graphics, lots of color, obviously with the dot painting style, but something that you wouldn't necessarily see a lot with First Nations art, but there's the First Nations art influences in there, but it's a pop culture take on it, which I think is really cool.
I think this particular painting as well is really cool because it blends the story of the Seven Sisters, which is a First Nations story. It's a Dreamtime story. It's a very old, ancient story, but it brings it into this kind of context that we can merge into with, Michael Jackson's in there. We've got Whoopi Goldberg. There's these pop culture icons amongst these things, which kind of threads these two cultures together. Obviously, Kaylene's work, it's bright, it's comic book crisp, the figures kind of float. When you kind of look, there's always something to see in her work.
Yeah, there's stuff everywhere.
Yeah, it's very cool because she kind of brings these two worlds together. So she lives with these elders. She's grown up with these elders. She's learnt these stories. They're part of her, history. And then she's also grown up with the TV, radio, pop icons.
Yeah.
She's a fan. She loves these women. And so she's kind of blended these two things together. She starts to gain recognition for her, because her work really resonates with audiences. So she wins in 2018, she wins the Sir John Sulman Prize for Kaylene TV. In 2019, she wins a Telstra Painting Award. She is also a finalist in the Archibald Prize across many years. But her famous one is Dolly Visits Indulkana, and she starts to kind of become more and more known for this work.
Yeah.
I highly recommend, if you can't make it to the Portrait Gallery, buying this book with all of her work in it is incredible. because you get to see and have like take a moment with this work.
It's so good.
Oh,
I absolutely love it. It's so charming.
And she is a charming woman. So
Yeah.
the themes within her work are about Kunka Kangpu, which was said a lot at the exhibition opening. It's strong women, and I love the word. There's also a thing around sisterhood and, you know, everyone stands shoulder to shoulder. So Dolly is standing next to the aunties of the community. Cher is next to cousins. There's no hierarchy. Everyone is hanging out. Everyone's
Yeah.
having a party, you know. They were I feel like I don't know if she meant to be funny when she was asked this on the panel, but someone said, what would you do if Dolly Parton did come to Ndulkana?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I'd say hello. And I just went, God, I love you, gal.
Yeah.
Not only is the art bloody excellent, but we start to see this community like with like lift. She's still bringing us her heritage, but it's fun. It's, you know, really modern. It's colorful.
Yeah.
She's still making sure that her community is visible within these paintings. It's not her just painting, you know, share that kind of thing. And it also means that she can, she is still supporting her community with, you know, her rising star means her whole community rises with her. So I feel like
Sorry, I'm getting like engrossed in this book.
So you'll see here as well, she does a lot of work and painting on these kind of old school like travel magazines and photographs. And her reasoning behind it is like all of these photographs of this land that she lives on, what's missing? It's her community, her people. So she's painted them back into this thing, which is incredibly smart. Her work's just fun.
Yeah,
and
it's
fabulous.
so much fun. Yeah.
And there's such a meaning behind it all, but you can take what you want from it. And I think she's happy for you to take what you want from it.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm having a party. You can either party with me or not. Also,
the cover moves.
I know.
Hooray.
It's such a cool book.
Cool.
I highly recommend. Please go and get this, The Art of Kaylene Whiskey. Please buy this book for someone for Christmas.
Yeah.
But these plants often appear in her work, and it's called, I feel like one of them, Mimpuka.
I did see someone with a speech bubble saying something about that.
There's like, I will find you this is the 2020 Archibald Prize.
Yes.
With Dolly. But Mimpulkana is a bush weed, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And they chew it like
right.
a tobacco type thing. She creates a lot of visual videos with her sisters as well, and they're so funny. One of them, when you go there, they've put up a Kaylene TV where she's made all these videos, and it's her like, one of them's like Santa stealing presents from her, and then they eat cake together, and it's just this world that she's created that is absolutely she's
fabulous.
She's living in her own world, and I'm absolutely happy for her to be there.
Oh, it's so good.
So I highly recommend, if you are able to, please go and see this. This is one of the first times they've gotten a broad spectrum of her work in one room, like in one area. It's on until March. Let me double check when it's on till. It is on until the 9th of March 2026.
Oh, great. There's still some time.
They're doing, I think, some Friday nights where they're inviting people in. I think there might be some drag queens popping in there.
Wonderful.
With some Dolly, no doubt. But yeah, I think it's a real celebration of her and her culture in this art centre, and highly, highly recommend.
That's great.
Yeah, so that was very cute. But yeah, it was a real celebration. So I highly recommend go see it.
Yes.
And if you can't, buy the book. It is great. It's fun. You're going to see some amazing, amazing pictures. But that's kind of where we're going to leave this very long history.
Yes.
I think it's kind of...
And ending on such a high note with Kaylene's
I
work.
know. There's so much to see. There's so much we could talk about. There's so many things we've missed. I apologize if I got a bit word salady mixed up with it all, but there is too much to cover in one episode.
Yeah.
And we will no doubt touch on it again.
Yes.
I think one thing I want to talk, like kind of leave you on, is that like Kaylene's canvases make you smile and they bring out these strong kunka kumpu, which is strong women, and it brings this strong sense of country. And I think the thing with her work is that it brings so much joy in this history that we have, although paved with sadness.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we can still celebrate, and we have the opportunity now to celebrate like this beautiful culture and this fun, frivolous world like that she lives in. And I think that, First Nations art, I would just take the time to go and look at it and learn about it because it is so, 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 so fabulous. But yeah.
And interesting. Yeah. And next time you're at the gallery, spend a bit more time in the First Nations section. Yes,
because the NGV always has some up, and there's a lot more depth than a few dots on a canvas.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Wonderful, Steph. Thank you so much
for
grounding us back to our country and a bit of the history, albeit muddy, but very fascinating.
Yes, and Joel, as we always say.
Oh, hooly dooly. Steph, I don't have one. Oh my God.
I'll set you up again.
Yes.
Have a minute to think.
As we always say, swooping season might be over, but still put some eyeballs on your helmet if you're going for a bike ride. You never know when a magpie's gonna get you.
They're in my backyard and they're getting closer and closer to the door. One flew in the house the other day.
Yes.
Horrifying. All right, until next time, goodbye. Bye.